All right, what is going on, everybody? We got a very special guest with us today, fresh off College World Series out in Omaha. Travis Reifsnider, thanks for jumping on with Virginia Game Day.
Absolutely. Love to be here.
Yeah, so Trav, you guys just had a whirlwind experience out in Omaha. It didn't end up exactly how everyone wanted, but going to Omaha is like a huge accomplishment in itself. What was the experience like?
It was incredible. Growing up, when I was a lot younger, Little League ages, I really wanted to go to the Little League World Series. That dream kind of passed, and then it quickly turned shape into wanting to go to Omaha. That was kind of where I set my sights next. And to kind of culminate my college career with going to Omaha and playing in front of, I think it was something nuts, like almost 25,000 fans. It was truly incredible. Obviously, we didn't come out on the winning end of either of the games while we were there, but it was two phenomenal games.
Yeah.
We played two great teams, and to get to do that with guys that I consider to be my best friends and a coaching staff who took a shot and believed in me and had me come over to UVA this year was really it was a dream come true.
Yeah, man, you guys will get a ring, I'm sure. And every time you go to the dish, you'll be able to tell, whoever you're with that you were part of that, College World Series logo that's going to be out there on the outfield wall.
Absolutely. I'll definitely make sure to say that little tidbit whenever I bring someone to the dish.
Yeah. Like I was part of that team right there. Right there.
Absolutely.
But you talked about the Little League World Series. Let's start all the way back at the beginning. Where'd you grow up? When did you know that baseball was going to be like one of your path, or when did you want to make that decision?
Sure. So I grew up in Richmond,
Okay.
not too far from Charlottesville. Played Tucko Little League all growing up. So I think I started when I was 9 or 10. Really loved the experience. Had like awesome friends when I was on the teams when I was younger, which I think probably helped draw me to baseball, was that I made some really awesome connections through Little League and then kind of moving to middle school baseball. Made some awesome connections and was like, hey, I'm pretty good at this. Might as well see what I can do. So I grew up in a family that loved lacrosse.
Oh, okay.
So my sister, my oldest sister, who's the oldest sibling in my family, played lacrosse at JMU. The younger of the two sisters played lacrosse in high school, had opportunities to play in college, decided not to take them. And then my older brother also played lacrosse in high school. So lacrosse was kind of the mainstay of my house, sports-wise. We were playing a little bit of everything, but when I decided to play baseball, so 7th grade, I had to decide between baseball and lacrosse.
Same season, right?
Yeah, so both spring sports, and decided to stick with baseball. And I couldn't be more happy with my decision to have stuck with baseball. It led me to meet some awesome people, have some awesome experiences, and to this day, I'm grateful that I chose baseball.
Did you ever get any close to Little League World Series, or you guys?
So when I was 12, I played on like the all-star team that could have made it to So we made it. We won our district, which was a tough district. It's one of the harder ones in Virginia. Went to states. I think we lost in like the state semifinals. It was a heartbreaker. Had a pop-up go. Second baseman fell. Ball dropped.
Oh, no.
2 runs scored, walk off. It was a heartbreaker, but again, one of those great experiences where you live and you learn. Baseball's a tough game, but it's one that I've grown to love. So
those all-star tournaments were always awesome. They'd like, first of all, you're with all your friends and everything, and then after the game, it was like give you the free hot dog and a free soda and a free bag of chips, and it was like living the dream, man.
That's so for ESPN, I think they asked us what's our favorite baseball memory, and my response to that was getting a hot dog after I hit a home run every time in Little League. I remember that so vividly. I didn't hit very many home runs in Little League, so when I did, it was definitely a treat. I got to go up and redeem it for a free hot dog.
Yeah, dude. In Little League, it was like just hitting one home run was like huge. And my brother was a monster. He hit 7 home runs in his last like major. That was like the final year of Little League. He hit 7 home runs, and I was coming up right after him. So the pressure was on, and I didn't have any home runs until like I finally got one, and it was like a line drive, barely went over, but
it went over. That's all that matters.
Yeah, well, that's it, man. That's it. I grew up in New York, like not too far from Williamsport, where the Little League World Series field was, and they had a camp every summer, and you can go to Little League camp, and at the end of the week, you get to play a game on the Little League World Series field. So I got to play in that field, not because my Little League All Star team went to the World Series, but because I went to the camp.
That's awesome.
So high school, you chose baseball, obviously, great player. Um, you ended up at JMU. Did you have were you fielding recruiting offers? How'd you wind up in Harrisonburg?
So my high school coach, so I went to collegiate in Richmond, it's a private school in Richmond, and my head coach, who one of the best coaches I've ever had, awesome guy, still keep in touch with him all the time. His name's Andrew Slater.
Okay.
And he was close friends, had coached with, so Marlon Eikenberry is the JMU coach, and they had coached together when they coached at VMI. Um, he had coached together when they were both assistants, and then Ike, who's the JMU head coach, took the BMI head coach job, and then Slater coached under him. So they had a pretty good connection. So that's kind of how I got hooked up with JMU. So I think I got offered my sophomore year, maybe sophomore summer after sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and my sister was there at the time playing lacrosse at JMU.
All
So I
right.
had a good amount of experiences up there. And I talked to a couple other schools. So I talked to William and Mary, got offered by them. Talked to VMI, had an offer from them. But ultimately, I mean, it came down to I'd spent time at JMU. I knew the campus. I knew my sister had an awesome experience. And then the relationship with my high school coach and the JMU coach really, I guess, put me on even stronger to JMU. And then it just kind of took off from there and decided to commit. I think it was, I mean, it couldn't have been too long after I got the offer, probably less than a week after I got the offer. I was like, that's it. It's where I want to go. That's who I want to play for. And that was that. The rest is history.
It's having that trust with your coach is huge, and the
Yeah,
familiarity is big, obviously. And there's no one goes to JMU and has a bad college experience. Like
absolutely. That seems
you
to be
always hear
a
great things.
trend of people.
So put in 4 great years there. Your final season hit like I don't know 13 home runs, I think.
Mhm.
13 home runs, a monster season, and you wound up at UVA. After your final year at JMU, how did you wind up at UVA?
So I had some discussions with the JMU coaches about having the extra year of eligibility. And to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really performed very well. I mean, my junior year, we got tore apart from COVID. I think I hit somewhere around 300. So, I mean, I did okay. And that was probably the first year I thought, okay, I'm an everyday guy. I'm a starter.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of moved around, was DHing, was catching a little bit, was playing first base. So I didn't really find a home on defense yet. And then going into my senior year, we talked early in the fall, kind of, do you guys think I can come back? What's the deal with the extra year of eligibility? So initial conversations were we're kind of just going to have to see how it goes. If you play well this year, we'd love to have you back. If you don't perform, basically, you're going to have to find somewhere else to go, which I totally understood. No bad blood there. I don't want to make it seem like that at all.
Yeah.
And then probably halfway through the spring, I'd put together a pretty good body of work, and I went in the portal. So this was during last spring. I went in the portal, which is a story for another time. But so I went into the portal and started getting offers pretty much right away. I mean, it was 30 minutes after I went in the portal. I heard from Miami. I heard from Texas A&M. I think I had an hour and a half class. So I went into the portal, had an hour and a half class that I went into right after I went in. And I think I had 4 or 5 schools that had reached out by the time I had left class.
Are they going to send you an email and hit up your Instagram DM or?
So it actually, I mean, it's crazy. They kind of come from all directions. So your email is attached to the portal. Your
Okay.
phone number, I believe, is also attached. And then they search your name on social media. So they'll follow you on Twitter, send you a DM. They'll follow you on Instagram, send you a DM on there. So you're getting text, phone calls, emails, Instagram, Twitter, all sorts of different stuff. And heard from a bunch of different coaches. Hey, Bryce. And then I talked to Coach McMullen probably 3/4 of the way through the spring. and our relationship really blossomed from there. And so the day after my season ended, which was like a Saturday, on Sunday, I came here. Took about a 3 hour, 4 hour visit. Sat with Coach O'Connor for the majority of that with my parents. Um, I mean, as I'm sure you're aware, Coach O'Connor is a very impressive guy, a great coach. I mean, wealth of baseball knowledge, incredible depth of baseball knowledge, and um, the facilities that we have at UVA are some of the best in the country that I've seen. So I was really enamored with that, and before I'd even left, I'd committed. So I walked into the parking lot, said my goodbyes, and then walked right back in and said, "That's it. I don't want to take any more visits. I'm coming."
That's what's up, man. So it was the only visit you took after JMU.
That was.
That's what's up, man. That's awesome. So you guys come in this year, this spring, super hot right out of the gate, kind of beating on everybody. Uh, I think you got as high ranked as like number 2 in the nation. Are you guys talking about that kind of stuff in the locker room, or are you kind of blocking all that out? Just
It's one of those things that it's hard to ignore. So you can
I know
say
because like
we
it's
didn't
posted on
listen.
social media and stuff.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we got a bunch of guys. I mean, today's day and age, everyone's on social media. So, I mean, I know I definitely am. I'm checking Twitter all the time. I'm checking Instagram all the time. So, I mean, we definitely saw it. But it's one of those things where you still have to just go out and play every game the same way. You
Yeah.
can't think we're better than anybody or that's how you get beat. Like if you walk out on the field and you think we're better than them, they don't even deserve to be playing with us. I mean, you can get beat pretty bad. So I
Oh, of
think
course, man.
we just tried to focus kind of internally on the guys we got in this locker room and the coaching staff and just really come together and put the best product on the field we could. And I think we did a pretty good job of that.
What was the vibe kind of when the team went through that rough patch mid-year? Lost a few series in a row. I think he got swept by one.
Sure. Um, I mean, I would love to say it was all roses and rainbows. It was all smiles, good vibes. But I mean, I think that was probably not probably that definitely was the low point of the year.
Sure.
But I think we had a few guys step up. Like we had Nick Parker step up, and he called a players only meeting and had a lot of good stuff to say about how we're a really talented group and we're underperforming right now. But there's no need to hit the panic button. We know we're good. We've proven we're good. We can beat good teams. We can beat great teams. We just got to really buy into what the coaches are telling us and stay on our path, and everything will fall in place. And I mean, we had a lot of guys step up kind of when we were going through that rough patch to take us out of it, and it worked out in our favor, I guess.
Yeah, because with like 2 or 3 weeks left, you guys kind of got back in stride and then rode it right into the regionals and supers. It was my first time. I moved to Charlottesville 3 years ago. And I, coming from upstate New York, I played, small time junior college baseball, but I'd never seen a town that loved baseball, college baseball, as much as Charlottesville had. So to see playoff baseball up close and personal this year, it was awesome. So talk a little bit about those regional games and super regional games here at the Dish.
Sure. So I'll take it back a little bit. So I'm going to answer your question. Don't worry. But so we had Ryan Zimmerman Day early in the year. We were retiring Zimmerman's number, and we pulled, I think it was like 4,700, maybe 5,000 fans. It was a bunch of fans. And that was kind of the first taste I got of, okay, Charlottesville is the real deal. Like they're pulling fans out of here. Like there's people everywhere. They're making noise. I mean, that was special. And I was like, all right, I don't know if we'll pull a crowd like that again. Kind of got to see. And throughout the year, I mean, we had awesome support. Don't get me wrong. But then when I came out to the regional, and I think we played Army first game, and I mean to see the stands packed like that, the Dish is buzzing.
Dude, at noon on a Friday.
I know it's crazy. Everyone called out of work. Everyone's there,
Yeah.
and I mean that was so awesome. And I think that honestly played a pretty big part in us continuing to play well and playing better than we had a couple weeks before that. Really just kind of getting re-energized by the fans. I mean, there's young kids running around all over the place.
Uh-huh.
There's some old people walking around having a great time. There's parents everywhere. I mean, it was really awesome. And I think that contributed in a very large way to us being successful in the end, making it to Omaha. But I mean, to see that many fans and then see our fans competing with the ECU fans for who can make more
That's what I was
noise.
gonna say.
I mean, it was awesome. I think the ECU fans challenged us a little bit, and I
Dude,
think,
on Friday night,
oh yeah,
it was the ECU Oklahoma game, and we came for that game, and it was like the ECU fans took over the stadium because none of the UVA guys were there really. So y'all are playing the next day, and I'm like a little bit nervous. I'm like, yo, these ECU fans were live. Like, I hope UVA fans show up tomorrow and can not get taken over. But that first game it ended up being a 2-1 kind of pitchers duel that we won. Yeah, you won. UVA fans showed up, and I think we were able to not let them get the best of us.
absolutely. I mean, hats off to the ECU fans for sure. I mean, they
Dude,
traveled big, they traveled loud. I mean, that was awesome. I mean, they created an awesome environment, and then our fans rose to the occasion, were
oh
loud
yeah,
as they were, which I thought was awesome and really kind of helped us keep that home field advantage. But I mean, that was an awesome regional, about as good as we could ask for.
yeah. And then super regional against Duke, the first game. I don't remember what the score was, but I think Duke won the first game, and then you guys were able to come back and bang bang hit like dropping 1,000 runs on them both games. That was an electric experience as well.
Yeah, I mean, that was awesome. It was a gut wrenching loss on Friday or Thursday or whenever the hell it was, but it was tough to see. And then with Jake flying out to the warning track kind of in the game,
Yeah, so that's what it was.
I mean, that definitely stung, but it was one of those things where it's like, guys, we're right there. Like we got them. We know we can beat them. We'd beaten them already once in the regular season, even though they had taken a series. I mean, we knew we could hang with them. And then I don't want to misspeak, but I believe Griff led off the second game with the home run.
Yeah,
And from there, it
yes, he
was,
did.
I mean, we were off and running. I mean, it was once Griff hit that home run, we never looked back, and worked out.
His first one of the year.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't have come at a better time. I mean, he kept saying
Right.
we would joke with him about it all year. No juice. That zero on the board's ugly. You're not going to hit a home run this year. All this stuff. I mean, I know I gave him plenty of flack for it. And I mean, his home run couldn't have come at a better time, and couldn't happen to a better guy too. Hard worker and just great kid. So pumped for him that he
Yeah.
got.
So you guys win the last game of the Super Regional. They play that Bowling for Soup Omaha song. You get the ticket, dog pile, everything. Was that about as good of a natural high as there is on the earth?
I mean, it's a feeling that's hard to describe. I mean, I'm not by no means am I a tough guy, but I was probably one of the last guys on the dog pile because I was in the dugout looking for sunglasses because I knew I was going to cry. So I hugged Tommy Courtney, dapped him up, gave him a hug, and I mean I lost it. I started crying. I jumped on the dog pile and I'm crying. We're running around the field. I mean, I get to hug my mom, my dad, and I mean I lost it. It was one of those things
Yeah,
where this is what we've worked so hard for all year. This is what a lot of us have worked our whole careers for, and to finally
exactly.
realize that dream and have the hard work. I mean, I don't want to say pay off, but for lack of a better term, hard work pay off in a sense. I mean, it was awesome, it's incredible.
I mean, yeah, it's for families too, like you said, like driving you to games throughout your childhood and driving all over the place in college to go to games and supporting, and it's like a big reward at the end of a
It
long
was seemingly just
path
as much
traveled.
for the parents as it was for us too. It seemed like the parents were feeling the same emotions we were. And I mean, I know my mom's a crier a little bit, but she was definitely crying. Dad was crying, um, just talking about how they're excited to see all of us live our dream.
Yeah. So I didn't get to make it out to Omaha, but experience of a lifetime. I'm sure one day I'll definitely get out there. But is the steak really that good in Omaha?
So we had, I wish I could remember the name so I could give them a shout out. I think it was Spencer's Steakhouse was right by I believe that is correct. I don't want to misquote on that, but I believe it was Spencer's Steakhouse was right across from our hotel. So we went as a group first night we got there. And I've heard a lot. I'm like, oh, Omaha steaks got to be pretty good. We'll see. I'll see.
Yeah.
My dad can cook a mean steak, so we'll see what it's all about. Nah, I got a little surf and turf action, and I mean, it definitely lived up to the hype. I got a little filet mignon. I mean,
You
oof,
know?
it was money. It was perfect. Yeah, so shout out to them for giving us a good meal.
Yeah. So it was a great year. You guys had a lot of great players, and look, it appears like Kyle Teel and Jake Gelof should be some guys who are going to move on to the next level, um, in the draft at least.
Sure.
What's it been like playing with those two guys?
Um, it has been an incredible opportunity. To see that so I mean, I'll kind of start with Kyle because I spent more time with Kyle on the field at least. I mean, he is relentless. He's one of the hardest workers I've ever been around. He pushes himself to, I mean, he pushed himself to the point of where you would think any normal human would tap out, and then he goes 10 miles farther. I mean, he's a freak athletically. He can really catch it up behind the plate. I mean, I'm sure he could play infield at a lot of colleges. He can play outfield, played outfield his freshman year. I mean, to watch him go about his business on the daily, it was no surprise with how well he played this year. I mean, he's a great baseball mind. His swing is beautiful. Watching him play the game is really, I mean, it's fun to watch. He's one of those guys where
Okay.
you want to take your kids out to watch him and say, this is what you want to be like. So that for Kyle, I mean, that's really all I gotta say about him. He's a special guy, special player. And then for Jake, kind of the same thing of just relentless hard worker. They live together and they're always talking baseball. They're shooting ideas off each other about their swings, talking about kind of how can they get better on defense. And I mean, I don't know if they've talked to each other about it, but they definitely had a little competition going of who can one up
Yeah.
one, kind of who can do cooler stuff on a daily basis, which I mean, they both did some pretty special stuff these last 2 years and especially this year. But I mean, a really hard worker, great kid, great baseball mind. His baseball IQ is through the roof. So I mean, it was really, really fun to watch them play this year.
So back in my day, we didn't have the like when you get on second base, the like choreographed celebrations to the dugout. How do you guys choose those? Is like before the season, we're like, all right, I'm gonna do the goggles when I get on second. Everyone else does it back, and
So um, I'll say I can't exactly tell you what it was because it's a team secret. I'm sworn to
okay,
secrecy on that, but
okay,
it definitely was some discussion before the year of kind of who wants to do what are ideas, what can we do as a team. So in the past, I know it's been the swipe the chest, kind of show the Virginia
yeah,
logo. And then they've done like the seven,
yeah.
which is not something I was a part of, but it happened a little bit this year. And then this year we were talking before the year. We're like, all right, we got to have something. Like we know this team can bang. We're a pretty good offensive team. We got to have something. And then we kind of just put our heads together. We had a little players only meeting, talking about it after a team meeting, and finally came up with the one we had and then rocked with it all year. And it seemed to get our team fired up and the guys loved it. So
That's
worked.
awesome, man. So we were talking earlier. I would say you could definitely play pro ball. It's sometimes it's hard to make the decision of like, do you want to go do that or do you want to move into the next phase? Where are you at right now with kind of weighing that decision?
So I know that I want to stay in the game of baseball.
That's what I was thinking. Like,
Yeah, so I want to stay in the game of baseball. I mean, like I was talking about earlier, baseball has been something I've been in love with since I first started playing. I mean, it's just a game that's really addicting. At least for me, it has been, and it's drawn me in and kept me close ever since I started. But um, I've had great mentors throughout my life, great coaches, kind of great people around me, and I think it's kind of time for me to pay the game back and mentor the next group of guys to come through. So I think that would be if I weren't to play or were to not play, I believe I would stay in baseball, whether that's in coaching, scouting, director of ops.
Do you
Um,
think the media route ever?
I've definitely thought about it. Um, I I believe the player development is kind of what draws me in a little bit more than kind of just the game of baseball, where it's seeing guys reach their full potential and really getting the most out of guys.
Okay.
I think that I have done in the past, whether it's been a teammate or kind of been a mentor to younger guys. But I think that that has kind of been where my head's at with that. And then obviously, if the opportunity were to present itself to play professional baseball, I would take it in a heartbeat. I mean, that's the dream of any kid growing up playing
Oh yeah.
baseball. It's still the dream I have today. So
Yeah, I don't even know what the path to like the indies are, but there's a lot of good indie ball out there. There's multiple leagues now, and I think you definitely could do that.
it's definitely getting a little better too because all the minor league teams got cut. So it's, I don't know, something
Yeah.
like 40 minor league teams got cut. Could have been more than that. Could have been less. I'm not exactly positive, but they cut a bunch of minor league teams. There are a bunch of minor leaguers still looking for jobs. So a lot of them went the indie ball route. And I don't want to say made it more legit because I think it was legit to begin with, but I think it definitely raised the level of competition in indie ball and kind of drew more scouts to it. So I mean, in the last 2 weeks, I've seen a bunch of guys get signed out of indie ball and seen some guys that I've played with get indie ball opportunities. So um, I think it's definitely a more viable route than it was maybe 5 years ago.
Sure. So next year when JMU and UVA play on the football field, what are you gonna do, man?
Um, I think that'll be one of those things where I'll cheer for a good game
That's
and
right. That's right.
win situation for me. So I mean, I knew some of my closest friends at JMU were football guys, and I know a couple UVA football alums, but I don't know any guys on the team right now. I don't
Well,
think.
Jay.
Jay, right? Of course. How could I forget Jay, the man? Yeah. So if Jay's out there, obviously I'm going to be cheering for him. Put up a bunch of tutties every game, but
I,
uh, yeah, I to be honest, I haven't thought about it. I probably should think about that because I'm sure I'm going to be at that game, and I got to think about what I'm going to wear and be strategic about it.
you can like double up, a little UVA polo and the JMU beanie or whatever.
Sure.
All right, Trav, man, I appreciate you talking today. Where can everyone find you on social media?
So you have my Instagram handle, I
Oh
believe,
yeah.
and then my Twitter is, I believe, the same as my Instagram name. Let's see, what is my Instagram name? T-Reef8 and T-Reef8. So it's the same as my Instagram handle as my Twitter name.
Yeah, man, you got the some shine there with the mic'd up.
Yeah, it was that was awesome. That's something I always begged the JMU guys to let me do was get mic'd up, whether it was during a game, during practice, and then Fitz, who's our SID, came up to me and was like, would you have any interest in this?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, I would." Like,
That's
yeah,
my
that'd be
guy.
awesome. So I mean, that was a really cool experience. And then to do it 3 weeks in a row, once we started winning, the guys were telling me I had to keep doing it. So
Oh yeah.
once I did it once and we won, had to keep going, and that was definitely a cool opportunity to get as well.
I appreciate you jumping on, and we'll be watching out for you. Good luck the rest of the way, and go Who's, man.
Awesome, thank you, Go Who's. Appreciate you having me.